But here's the verse on the pale horse. It's about the fourth seal. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. One of the interesting notes I have here about the pale horse is Relly News Live channel. One time I heard on one of his videos, he was wondering if the fourth part of the earth, this is just speculation, it was the Americas, because he had heard that the first and second and third parts of the earth, the Europe, the Asia, and Africa parts of the earth, had been called the first, second, and third parts of the earth. And so the Americas, which were discovered last, some sources called the Americans the fourth part of the earth. So when he heard that verbiage in that verse, he wondered if that could be the Americas. I could do other videos on the idea of the pale horse and what it is and what causes the pale horse, or I do have an older video on this channel that I'm speculating if you guys want to check that out. I think it's called The Pale Horse is Not Even Here Yet, or Is the Pale Horse Over America? If I would guess, I would say it could be either for a fourth part of the earth to come under that kind of stress. Then I would say that we probably, whoever that would be coming under, it would either be war related or some part of the artificial, of the intelligence thing unleashed, or it would actually just be a time trigger that's natural, an earthquake or something, or something would trigger for some sort of a takeover of that part of the earth. I keep thinking America's vulnerable because we have to be controlled into a cashless system. The war threats, any country that you see that's even able to, or groups of countries that are able to challenge America at that level, would be part of what would be used to help bring us to the situation where we're having to go cashless. And that could include the space objects too. It could be a possible solar event that was unexpected, like what people talk about the CME and the EMP situation. And people have said no matter who turns the lights out, if that happens, you're never going to hear who really did it. You're never going to know. But I doubt that happens long term with a catastrophic grid down massively. It could, but I doubt it, because one of the reasons is because the whole world will have the technology soon back again in order to witness certain events, is what it says in prophecy. I suspect there will be a whole lot going on at the same time. It's just good to keep in mind that that is next. After we see a rationing system set up, that will be next. And it will be totally separate from the black horse. And there's people that are teaching that these horsemen, they possibly, all these seals are out of order. Trumpets and vials and seals could all happen at any time, and anything might happen anywhere, and all this. And I don't agree with that. And I think it's the opposite of design usually. It's generally the opposite of how God works, with his high degree of design and order, which always gives him great glory. And so far, it seems like the world events are exactly matching Revelation, and it gives God glory to the max. And that we're able to show everyone, like, this looks like exactly this, and then this followed exactly like it said. Plus, it seems like it would be the most helpful thing to people to show them, and things wouldn't be unexpected. Like, to me, saying that a trumpet could happen before the seals are finished, like early trumpets could happen even in the mid or the early seals. It's like saying, and then Jesus could come on a white horse at any time, and we could start the millennial reign before the vials of wrath happen. That's what it seems like to me. I do believe the pale horse is not here yet, and it will be a very distinct season. It would not have been described so clearly if it's not going to be very clear. Also, it seems like one horse after the other is how the world systems will be collapsed to allow for an Antichrist beast system of the fifth seal. That would happen one after the other, and that seems like how it's been happening. And so that's another reason why I believe things will be very orderly. I also believe that six seal cataclysm events are being just happened by the time you get to the first trumpets. That's what it looks like. So it does seem like it'll be very orderly. So people saying that they're all out of order, I think they have problems with analysis, would be my take on it. And I'm not criticizing them because they're probably also very kind-hearted people and loving, caring, giving, and more maybe more so than me. But they're like the people that don't really analyze. They don't understand analyzing well or articulating well. Maybe they're not, you know, on that level of communication. So next I would like to talk about the heavenly signs other than the UAPs. So I do want to talk about Beetlejuice for a few reasons. I believe that the occult has made some kind of a deal of this, so I don't want to dwell on it like it's a huge. We may never know anything about it, but recently Musk was talking about Beetlejuice, and back whenever I had my old channel, I was studying end time topics, and I felt led to actually go through the movie and do a review because that was some kind of a predictive programming of the masses. It and a lot of people, I think that was the 80s or something when it first came out. That was one of those weird topics like the Cabbage Patch Kid. There were some strange morbid things that Hollywood is always doing. What am I saying? That was a season of it. They're always doing it. But it was the strangest morbid topic, and I kind of deleted that information, so I don't remember what all I did on that video. It was a lot of things connected with the occult there. They were celebrating death, and a lot of people loved it. It's like what we're programmed to do, and then they sell the little what I call idols of whatever their latest programming is. They'll sell them in the stores and in the restaurants. So you have your little kids taking these objects of death and wickedness and uh, deformed, horrible, just gross, horrible things, or way out there, unnatural things, or half demon things that like the Spider-Mans and all that. They're taking them and they're worshiping them, and they live with them, and so they're building these idols in their spirit and their mind all the time. It's like no one's perfect at these things, but they're always. It's just interesting how idolatry is in our culture now compared to what it would have been like in Israel's time, back when they had problems with it. But people love the Beetlejuice movie, and when I watched it, it was just turned my stomach. Just no. And I don't think I was being sensitive. I think it was just like if you're paying attention, you have to kind of be into gross things, like what some people call magnets, magnets and rotting, and just no. It's not funny. They tried to make it into a comedy. It wasn't funny. Like I understand when people are young and impressionable and they're learning, that's why they put this stuff in the culture, because you can catch a whole lot of people up on it, just really thinking Beetlejuice was neat and cool and loved. I love that part of my life because it reminds me of whenever I was in the 8th grade and we were having fun and who I hung out with and the feelings I had at the time. That's how psychology works. But that movie itself was evil. I'm sorry. And then they tried to make another one lately, like I started paying attention, but I did find out there was some kind of an Easter egg in there about when Beetlejuice first comes out. He made this comment that was way out of place. That was kind of like a hint at why they even did it of the 600 years or so. It may have just been art, and it may have just been the artist. They're all dark in Hollywood, but I wonder I wondered why they did that, what they're looking for, and why they tried to put this death programming into our culture. They may just think, the occultists always have stuff with stars, and that's going to be a pretty big star. But I do wonder if they're kind of wondering if that's going to be one of their big signifiers of how close we are to something, because that's probably what they were told by some demons. I'm going to read what the Bible says. I had said before that it talks about the earthquakes, famine, pestilence, and then next it says, this is what the scripture says about what we should see from heaven. It says, "And fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven." And then he goes into talking about how they will be persecuted, and some of that seems like what he's telling them is going to happen after he dies. That may have already happened, some of it. And it's good instruction about the persecution. But these fearful sights and great signs. They say if Betelgeuse does go off in supernova, it may also be concerning to them because of what they say about things like the magnetars. And when you read on the search engine, it promises you, well, uh, the magnetar is not going to be that big of a threat. It's 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10, really? That's not a threat, because it'll come and remove parts of the atmosphere. And they were studying Mars, and it happened there before, and it happened here partially. It may be part of like how the pale horse could happen over 1/4 of the Earth, because that 1/4 of the Earth is vulnerable, or maybe not at all, you know. But I wonder if it's going to be a time. The reason why they're interested in that is if that goes off, I see signs that the powers that are watching this, that are watching these things, are looking to see how close we are to certain things. And this is probably one of many things that they're looking at for. If we see it go off, we know that we're here. We know that we're at this level. We're probably here. It's probably this close. And we'll know where we are on our schedule of building again, preparing for that great war, for one thing. But if we do see it go off, just as a common layman people, they say that it will be as bright as the moon in the sky, day and night. So that would be a fearful sign for a lot of people. They would be like, what is that? What is that? I think there may have be some space programs that are practicing hiding things from the common man. It's things like that too. This can give you an idea of it. Don't be surprised if you see things like this, because this is what the Bible said would happen, including UAPs, including motherships or whatever. And so they're talking about, as you guys probably have heard, about this 3I Atlas, the new asteroid that's coming by, and they're saying that it's sending out warnings, but only people like Avi Loeb, I think his name is, that's being censored by everyone, and a few others are catching these intelligent signals are coming in that look like prime numbers and the Schumann resonance or something, so they can know that they're looking at us, and they're getting ready to come make sure that our wars don't get out of hand and we don't destroy everything. It's the predictable verbatim of what we've always said will happen if they try this deception on us. An interesting timing, though, is that this 3I Atlas is supposed to be, even though they're saying it's speeding up and slowing down, there's signs that it's super intelligent, that it has lights coming off and on, and it's not a comet because it doesn't have a comet stream, and it can speed up and slow down in the way that it shouldn't according to where it's at. So it's not a rock, it's an actual ship of some sort. It's supposed to reach some kind of trajectory with the sun on Halloween of this year, 2025. And then 3.5 years later, Apophis is supposed to be coming for its first turn in 2029. But the problem there, like Mike says, that Apophis probably should be not able to be on schedule like that anymore, or predictable, because things have changed so much with the heavens. The 3.5 years could also be something that's been made up and contrived again to make everyone think the tribulation begins. That would be interesting. The tribulation begins Rosh Hashanah of 2025. And that way people would be confused about rapture stuff, especially if a mothership raptures some people. It sounds so bizarre, but we have to be. It's worth it to have these conversations because of how they want the deceptions to be. But that's just an interesting thing they're talking about, these 3.5 year cycles. But if you said that is the tribulation, which I'm not hearing anybody say because of the 3I Atlas, if that was for 7 years, then that means the tribulation would begin 2025. So I would say If there's some kind of a covenant, which might be the Abraham Accords, but it probably won't be, it would probably be a peace covenant between what's happening with the wars right now, confirmed with many, say 2025, and so they put a temple up and they had the red heifer ashes, and some guy appears and says, he's the return of the Messiah, and all the Hebrew people are just loving it and saying how wonderful, and they start hinting that this mark system is here and there's cashless, then I would say, okay, maybe it's starting. But until I see all that, no, that would be one of the signs that it has started. That's the main things I'm looking for. And I think we're at least 2 years away from that, if not more. But I believe there's a lot of space deceptions that are coming, because that is how it's been classically, everyone says, that's how you get everyone in agreement on this global system of Revelation chapter 13. And the information that the Apophis trajectory has changed, it's not being announced, it's not being made public. So far we have been having, like I said, our congressional testimonies, our news briefings, and then lots of online rumors, and lots of people coming on lives about the what they're actually seeing in the sky. And a lot of it now is probably fake, but they're having public acknowledgments, sightings, and then they're having disinformation and dismissals of it. Some of it, oh, it's just a government program, or it's just Iran doing some stuff in the ocean against us with some kind of submarine, whatever. Notice, especially at the beginning of 2025, how they had mothership theories and rumors and UAPs on the East Coast. So now, it the 3i Atlas, of course, I think it's 3i because they've had two more interstellars. So the 3i Atlas may not be the one that comes to save us. Save us. But and you can just see how it's kind of escalating now. Now they can just openly talk about, or let it be released about. There's these interstellars that come and give us information, and are hinting that they're our enemy, or hinting they're going to come help us. So you see how the escalation of the soft disclosure is going. As far as the tribulation, I think I was going to talk about this later. But you have had, it seems like some hardcore pre-tribulation teachers are passing now. Jimmy Swaggart passed on Father's Day, and Perry Stone had a scandal in 2020, and Dr. James Dobson passed. You had Dizdar, which I don't know where he stood on the tribulation, on the rapture, and Irvin Baxter passed, and some people are probably it's probably some of this is probably signs that they certain people's jobs were done, and now what they talked about is here, kind of. But many others of the faith passed, and some of them are like, it's common sense because they're about 90, and it's not an unexpected thing. Did the Pope really pass on Easter or not? Was that making way for the last Pope? And Easter has a lot of occult references as far as that goes. So these are just some things that have happened that I have questions about. It may need more research. We may get more information about it. Many of the teachers that are still here, the ones that come to mind, I think, are Steve Quayle, Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show, Paul Begley. I probably should know some more. But there's more people than you realize that are around saying, be careful that the rapture might not be when you were taught. God's letting people be public saying that, because there's been just a lot of hardcore plan to push out there. We'll be raptured, don't read Revelation. We're not going to be here. I think somebody was saying the meme the other day of the left behind theory needs to be left behind. So next I'm going to probably say way too much about Israel.